What's the investment range to open a franchise?
So depending on, we base it based off territory, right? So, if you buy an office, yeah, population and territory size. So your range is anywhere from, you know, 60 to 150,000, depending on, um, again, their territory size and what they get at startup and things like that.
Okay. And how big is the territory population?
They range. So what we try to do is sell territory sizes that are going to be set up for success, right? So you're looking at 500,000 up to 2 million. But we have smaller offices and we have large, obviously we're the Houston metro. So
What markets are you most excited about getting into that you're not in right now?
oh gosh, my favorite ones. Raleigh, North Carolina, I think it's Jacksonville, Florida. Miami, Orlando, Atlanta. Yeah, we have so many good locations available right now that if I could clone Brian and I, you know what I could do? If I wasn't wearing all these hats and raising.
Hawaii.
Yeah, well, I'd love to live in Hawaii. I'll never forget. Anyway, I won't go into that. So Brian was in the Army and he got to choose duty station. And I said, please choose Hawaii. And he said, there's not a lot of hunting and fishing there, so no. So we
No, it
ended
wasn't
up
going to
in
happen.
Kentucky and Louisiana.
Oh, Kentucky's great. Beautiful.
It is beautiful. It is. What's something that you guys have learned during this whole franchise process of being a franchisor that maybe was something you weren't expecting?
Well, I think for me is the managing of people, that those are real people. We really are very family oriented. And when we started this, almost sometimes a little too attached, I mean, when they hurt, we hurt. When their kids are sick, we've had offices go through divorce. We've had offices, last year, we lost 2 to cancer, and one had already retired, but they were still part of our family. And so that part of it to me was the part that, when they call you and say, life's hard right now, you don't think about that as part of business, but it really is. They do become an extension of your family. We do an annual conference every year where we do training.
It's like a family reunion.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. Where do you guys see taking this brand over the next 5-10 years?
Wow. So right now we're, like I said, 21 offices. We want to add, 4 to 5 offices each year over the next, 4 to 5 years more if we can. The beautiful thing about our franchise is we have so many available just beautiful markets that are still available, because of the rebranding and things like that. Sometimes you'll inquire about a franchise and it's very saturated. And sometimes that's hard for somebody that wants to get into it because they're trying to squeeze off an area or carve out something. But we have some really great territories.
Have you guys noticed over the past maybe 10 years that you've been franchising that the type of person looking to buy a franchise has changed?
I think so. You get, used to be, you get, I hate to say it, but more bubbas looking to get into catching. I want to catch animals.
Right, trappers.
But now people are starting to understand that this is an actual business. And so you're getting people that are a little more educated that want to run a business and want to do well. They want to start something for a legacy for their family. So you're starting to see, I hate to say it, but better quality applicants.
Sure.
That's tough to think about, but it is what it is.
This also could be a great add-on business opportunity for folks that are already out in the home services, right?
Absolutely. Gutters, different things like that, roofing, those, we go hand in hand, really.
Right now, are you looking for only single unit operators or are you open to multi-unit franchisees?
Yeah, we are definitely open to that. Yep.
And right now, you have 21 offices. Is anybody a multi-unit operator now?
Yes, we have probably a handful that will, and that's always their goal when they come in. They ask, is that an option? Is that a possibility? And it absolutely is. It takes great organization and it takes great leadership and business skills that some people have to kind of hone. And we tell them, don't get too, let's perfect this. But yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Once they get in, they start looking, wow, I can grow this. Is this territory? Yeah, that territory is open. Hey, that's my next one. And they will jump, and it works well for them. We have some offices doing very well.
And Brian, if I was a franchisee, what would you expect of me in terms of me hiring techs out there in the field? How many do I typically hire, and what does an office look like in terms of their staff?
Usually the office will start out one person, or a husband and wife team. And so they'll get running. And I usually tell my offices, when you get so busy, when you're working 7 days a week and you just can't take any more work on, it's time to grow. And I learned that personally. I was working 7 days a week. On Sundays, I would get up and go to church in my work clothes. Right after church, I would leave to go to work, and my family would go do the rest of the day, and I would go to work the rest of Sunday. And I was just busy 7 days a week. And so we hired someone. And then once we got busy to where that we could buy another truck, because I put that person in the truck with me, and we could double our time. And once we got to where we were getting a lot of work, I moved on and bought another truck, put him in there, hired another person to ride in the truck. And then we had 2 trucks on the road and 3 people. And it just grew like that. When you can't handle the work anymore, hire somebody, but don't hire somebody till you can't handle the work
until you really need it. And what about training? If I was a franchisee, I'm a business guy. I don't really know much about wildlife removal, but I think this is a great opportunity. Do you guys train my field staff?
Absolutely.
I can, yes. If they want to send them down to me, I do that. And I always tell our offices, every office is different. Now, my exclusion work that I do on the homes in my area are completely different, say in Tampa or out in California, because the homes are made differently. And so I tell them, once you get out there, you may see something different. So the training is reciprocal. I'll get training from them that'll help me later. California office, when they got out there, they were like, whoa, we don't even do anything kind of like what you do. And I said, well, can I come out there and see what you do? Absolutely. So I went out to California and did a little training over there and learned something from that over there. So it's different, and you just got to stay on top of the training on where you're at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet. What kind of legacy do you guys want to leave with this brand someday?
No, I talked enough.
Well, we want to leave something that, our brand is very important to us. We watch, believe it or not, one of the biggest things we do is we watch reviews for the offices. So when Brian and I first came into the Houston territory as franchisees, there were, I think, 1 or 2 maybe competitors. That's it. So we came in, we built from the ground up, and we have prided ourselves on, we are a very well-known brand that stands for quality. Right? We don't rip people off. A few years ago, one of the competitors started this whole campaign of attic clean outs with scare tactics. And we've just stayed true to our brand and to honesty and to treating our customers the way that we would want to be treated. So I guess the legacy would be that throughout whatever happens in the future is that this brand, whether we're in Alaska or North Carolina, it doesn't matter, that they're taking care of their customer, they're doing honest, fair work, and for a good price, right? We are a business, but that's my heart, and I think Brian's as well, is that we have a reputable brand that is, has a good reputation.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.